Times moms become lunatics on paternity court.
Come on now, Miss White, come on. You're lying. And we know this.
But you still need to stay in your place.
They did a DNA.
Okay. Well, you ain't the daddy, that's for damn sure.
You ain't been no mother.
Mr. White and Mrs. White seem to have plenty of issues in their marriage. Both thought that it was in the past, but it looks like the past keeps chasing them. And now, Mrs. White only wants to prove that Mr. White really is the father of her daughter, Savannah.
Savannah has the right to know, and I have the right to know.
And you love this little girl.
Yes, I love her to death.
3 years.
3 years.
And so she looks to you, you're her father, you're her daddy.
Yep, just the other day she was at my mother's and she woke up and she asked, "Where's Daddy?"
And I can see this is just tearing you apart.
It is.
It's just eating away at you. I can see this.
Mr. White loves Savannah, but Mrs. White admits that she's cheated on him. Her dishonesty is what makes him suspect Savannah is not his. Even though he loves the girl to death, he feels like he owes it to her to know the truth about who her father really is.
From a week after we got married until February of this year, I've been catching her cheating constantly. Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. White, have you been cheating?
Yes, but I have abandonment issues because I was adopted. He's not showing me the love and affection that I need. I just want him to show me love and affection and be there for me.
Okay, Mrs. White's reasons for cheating are just stupid. Cheating's inexcusable, but for her to bring up her abandonment issues and try to justify it? That's just lunacy at its finest. But the worst part is how she believes that Savannah is his daughter, even after all the cheating.
When Savannah was 6 months old, that there was a 50-50 chance that Savannah wasn't mine.
And how did you get to a place where you decide you're gonna tell him?
We got into an argument. We ended up splitting up, and I was over at my mom's house. He said the only way I could come back into the house is if I was to admit everything and just be honest.
And he let you back home after that?
Yes, Your Honor.
The defendant grew up in a very troubled household where the parents were constantly fighting. So he wanted to raise a family that was free from all the mess and chaos. He worked hard every week so he could provide for his family, and this is how Mrs. White paid him back.
Do you have any other reason to believe that your wife cheated other times?
I have text messages proof right here of the most recent is Valentine's Day. She went to another man's house while I'm sitting at the house with the kids.
Well, that's because you didn't even get me anything, and you were just yelling at me.
The worst part is that baby daddy caught evidence of all the cheating. He uncovered texts of his wife asking her ex-boyfriend to come over while she was naked in bed. That's not what a mother and married woman should do. No wonder Mr. White looks so heartbroken.
Did you tell your husband about this guy too?
He saw the text messages.
You can bring me some cigs, LOL, Al's a, LOL, you are a nut. I'll give you a call when I get a chance here in a little bit. Why are you entertaining all these men on text?
Because he doesn't show me anything.
The husband truly is a family man. He works hard to provide for his kids, while Mrs. White keeps sneaking behind his back. They've got 3 kids, and there's another one on the way. And Mr. White just wants them to resolve their issues and stay together. But Mrs. White keeps stirring trouble after trouble.
We didn't even do anything on Valentine's Day. We just sat there and talked. That's all we did on Valentine's Day.
He sends you a picture of his penis and you go over and talk. Then you send a picture of your body part, but y'all just talking. Come on now, Miss White, come on. You're lying. And we know this.
Even Judge Lake asks why Mrs. White keeps doing this. She talks about saving her marriage with Mr. White, yet at the same time, she's going around town having affairs. It's clear Mr. White has a lot of emotional attachment to his kids, and it's all taken a toll on him. Time to reveal the results.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. White, you are her father. How do you feel, Ms. White?
Relieved, because he's a great dad and I want him to be all of my children's father.
Here's a case of Miss Phillips and Mr. Polk, where the paternity issue is over their baby, Promise. So far, Mr. Polk believes he was never in a relationship with this woman, and she's using the baby as an excuse to rope him in.
When she posted him, I was like, oh yeah, I'm about to go ahead and snatch him up. So I had some little friend requests or whatever. He started liking my pictures and inboxing me. He blowing my little inbox up.
It wasn't me first. She inboxed me first.
No, that's not
That's
true.
how it started.
So basically you met through social media and you all ended up getting together and having sex or starting a relationship.
I was actually in a relationship.
Just a couple of minutes in, and it's pretty apparent that baby mama started all of this as a joke. She admits to the court that all she wanted was sex. But the worst part was that she was already in a relationship before. Can she really be trusted after all the things she's saying?
But were you using protection?
Yes, at the time, yes.
Oh, he lying, Your Honor, he is lying to you.
When we first started messing around, I was using protection.
I know you don't believe here, because let me tell you the story. He don't like condoms. He don't like protection. He don't use protection at all.
So you say you weren't using protection?
No.
The two of them met online, but according to Mr. Polk, they met in July 2017, whereas Ms. Phillips says they met in June 2017. But their relationship already has no base, because all they did when they met was jump straight into having sex.
I left my little man and everything. I left my little boyfriend alone, left him. Everything, because BJ was telling me, oh, if you went with him, we'll be this. I want you to have my baby. I want to be a family with you. All that good stuff.
Fell for that okie doke.
Yeah, so I left my man. I just name tatted on me.
You got a tattoo of his name on you?
It's
You
a
did that.
property of in his name.
According to Miss Phillips, things began to get pretty serious between the two, but Mr. Polk keeps denying those claims. He said he never loved her and that she attached herself to him like a parasite. There was no way he could rid himself of her, and she's lying when she says he loved her first.
He's not addicted to you, but he enjoys having sex with you.
Yes.
And that's why we're here, and that's why you're upset.
Yep.
Let's really say what it is.
Yep.
Mr.
And he
Polk-
trying to claim he cut me off, but he was catching Ubers all the way to my hotel last night until 4 o'clock this morning. Was getting on my nerves last night. We
Let me
had
speak
sex
on
like
that.
3 or 4
Let me
times
speak
last
on
night.
that.
Then Mr. Polk comes in with the truth about how desperate Miss Phillips was to see him, that she even paid for his Ubers. But Miss Phillips claims that he's lying about that. Judge Lauren straight up asks Miss Phillips that if Mr. Polk is such a bad guy, why did she keep hooking up with him late at night?
I slept with someone else, just like that. He sets me real good.
When did this just come out? No, tell me
That's
when
before
she
she
told
got
you
pregnant.
that.
Before she got pregnant.
Oh, so
not before she got pregnant. I'm talking about like around that time. You
So
get what
you
I'm
feel
saying?
like
That's
you're-
where the doubt come from.
I probably did or whatever, but
Uh-oh.
It's pretty clear that Miss Phillips just knows how to run her mouth. Everything comes out into the open when Mr. Polk reveals she had slept with someone else and she wasn't telling the court the truth. That's when Judge Lauren asks her a very straightforward question. And when Miss Phillips hesitates to answer, it's pretty clear.
And the possible conception dates
Look
are
at that one.
between June 26th and July 6th.
Look at that one.
Then you say you were intimate with the other guy July 4th, right? So July 4th, we'll just call him OG for other guy. The other guy is within the possible conception date window.
that's why I
Uh-oh.
told him. That's why I confessed
Uh-oh.
to him, Your Honor.
Looks like the truth's catching up with Miss Phillips, and she's got nowhere to hide. It feels like she did all of this deliberately to get some sort of revenge on Mr. Polk and drag him into endless drama for no reason. Well, only the results can confirm things now.
Has been determined by this court. Mr. Polk, you are the father.
Thank you. I'm sorry about the doubt.
Now, this is a strange case to cover. It's where a daughter feels like her mother's been hiding the real identity of her biological father. Maxina feels like Mrs. Bailey, her mother, has lied to her about who her father really is.
It's just at some point there was some doubt about who exactly was my father. My mom had introduced me to a gentleman, and I just did not feel in my heart that he was my father. I just didn't feel like he was my father, and I felt as if we had met in a different circumstance, he might have been trying to hit on me or take me out.
Now, Maxina was told stories by people in her family, especially her grandmother, about a man called Max Bomar, who had a relationship with her mother. 9 months after that relationship, Maxina was born, and that's why she thinks her mother hasn't been honest with her.
You believe that Mr. Bromar is possibly her father, and you have that feeling that certainly be true, and you think he's a better candidate.
Yes, ma'am. When Miss Camille told me that she was pregnated, I asked her who she was pregnated by, and she said Mark Beaumont.
Once the grandmother tells her version of the story, Mrs. Bailey starts verbally abusing in court, telling she's lying and that she never told about her sleeping with Mark Beaumont. Miss Bailey believes the grandmother is turning her daughter against her.
I could, if somebody took me to meet my father and he was in that type of situation, I would stomp my feet and not want him to be my father either. The truth is, that's her father.
Even if she told me, I still wouldn't have believed it because I want concrete, factual evidence.
And I understand that.
I want a test.
I understand.
Even the grandmother met Mark Bomar and straight up asked him if there's a possibility about Maxina being his daughter. And guess what he said? He said that he thinks there's a high chance that it's his daughter, and he has no idea why Mrs. Bailey keeps lying.
But you still need to stay in your place.
They did a DNA.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, you ain't the daddy, that's for damn sure.
You ain't been no mother.
So I've been
But
her
she
mother
has.
till her past.
And both of you
Every
guys.
single
Roman, can you go stand in between them?
Okay, please.
Listen to the judge, and you listen to the judge.
Lady!
Well, the two ladies shouting at each other certainly give poor Maxina a fright. All she wants is to know who her father is and for her mother to be honest with her. Judge Lauren reprimands the two women that they need to stop shouting and yelling. Then, Mark Bomar is escorted into the court.
To know if you're her father, and it's a possibility that you could be. And she said the reason why was because Renee had told her that it was between me and another.
Did you put a few puzzle pieces together and maybe the timing was
Well-
right where you could potentially be your father?
Yeah, due to the timing.
Well, it's pretty clear that all of this arguing has been too much for Maxina, and with her grandmother and mother constantly fighting, she wants an end to all the doubts. The only way to have that solace is to open up the results in the envelope.
Mr. Bomar, you are not her father.
We just had established a great relationship, and I know he
y'all
really
can
wanted to
still
be, and I
have
just
that.
feel bad. The time that we did spend together, like since we've known each other, you know, he made me feel like a princess, like Cinderella, like.
Watson and Samantha clearly have a lot of issues, and they all pivot back to the doubtful paternity of Samantha's baby boy, Kevin. Watson says that Samantha's not a very loyal woman, and Samantha is sick of him denying being Kevin's biological father.
I would like to marry her, and I really hope this is my son.
And you say the relationship's on the line, meaning if the results don't turn out the way you...
It's out the window, Your Honor. It's over with. Yes.
Miss Mahoney, how is this paternity doubt affecting your child?
Hard. He takes it hard. He looks up to him a lot.
According to Watson, he cannot trust Samantha at all. He was gone from home and came back to discover that the entire neighborhood had evidence of her being the neighborhood hoe. Even though Judge Lauren asks him to mind his language, it's shocking to discover that this is what he thinks of Samantha.
They were showering her with gifts and taking care of her. Now, me as a man personally, I'm not gonna do that for no woman.
Being a man, though, you should have left me.
Miss Mahoney, did you have two men living with you?
Yes, ma'am.
You did?
I had no job. I had nothing to fend for myself. They were close family friends, and they just wanted to help me help them.
Then, being the man that he is, Watson goes and confronts the other men his wife had over at their house when he was away. That man has the audacity to say that Kevin is his son. But what makes it worse is how Samantha justifies it. She says this guy was providing for Kevin when Watson was away.
Did he say he was the biological father, or did this man say he was stepping up?
He said that was his kid and that he's in love with her and that's his girl. He always says that. Even to this day, he says that, Your Honor.
It is true. He has said he loves me and he's in love with me. But like I said, I cannot control somebody else's feelings. And as long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a woman.
So, Watson wants clear boundaries between his wife and the men she interacts with. But it's very apparent that she doesn't want that at all. This man confesses his feelings to Samantha, and of course, it upsets Watson. But Samantha does nothing to comfort her husband.
She basically told me everything, how she was
What she
sleeping
did
with...
was lie to you because you and her had sexual intercourse.
No, we did not.
No, that did not happen?
No. The friend told me how she was sleeping with multiple men and how men were crawling through the window.
But it's my house, so why would I have to have somebody crawl through a window?
But then, the big revelation arrives where Samantha claims that the same friend who told false stories about her to Watson is the same friend Watson had sexual relations with. On the other hand, Watson completely denies doing anything like that. It seems like Samantha is cooking up scenarios.
I told him who he was, and he ran from all the things. Then finally they found him and had him go up there and take the DNA. 99.9%.
That Mr. Watson was Kevin's biological father.
Yes, ma'am. The state put him on that birth certificate. I even posted it on Facebook.
So even though they got DNA results that said that Watson was 99.9% Kevin's father, Watson refused to believe it. Why? Well, he believes that Samantha knew someone at the lab. She had a way of getting the results faked and wanted him to stay trapped in this relationship.
They couldn't find him to get his DNA, and they already had ours.
You believe she forged these results?
Yes, ma'am.
So when this court contact your home state, because we do our investigation as well.
Yes, ma'am.
So Miss Mahoney, why would it take 7 months to get these results?
I don't know why, and we were together and they showed up.
Then Watson's mother is brought into the picture, and she pretty much thinks that Samantha's fooling her son, and it's really hard for her to believe if Kevin really is her grandson. But since their relationship is on the line now, the only way to solve this ongoing issue is to finally reveal the paternity test results.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Watson, you are the father.
See? I love you.
I'm sorry, baby. I love you. I love you so much.